What I'm about to propose in this video is so far removed from our current world reality that I know it's going to seem off or it's going to seem difficult to accept for some people, but I have to emphasize the absurdity of what we call ownership, especially when it comes to the ownership of natural resources. And this ownership literally leads to what is the greatest separation of people in the world. So as a first example of how absurd the idea of ownership is, I want to go back to, I guess, the 1969 moon landing when the United States planted their flag on the moon. I know they did that as a kind of symbolic way to show that, hey, we got here first. But it also has that other idea that, like, yeah, we own the moon. And there are other countries like China and Russia that try to do explorations to the moon and, I don't know, create bases there, which basically renders the moon theirs. But that is so absurd because the moon does not belong to anyone. The moon belongs to us. It belongs to the earth. It is a part of the earth, and we are all part of the earth. But of course, that's kind of a far-fetched example of the absurdity of what is property. To give you guys a way better example of that, I think the most obvious one is oil. I'm going to read to you guys the list of companies in the top 50 most profitable companies of 2012. And I want you guys to take note. These are all oil companies in the top 50. Here we go. ExxonMobil, Royal Dutch Shell, PetroChina, Chevron, Gazprom, BP, Petrobras, Total, Sinopec China Petroleum, ENI, Statoil. Those are all the companies, oil companies in the top 50. Their total profits in 2012 were $225 billion. The owner of Exxon, Rex Tillerson, his salary in 2012 was $40.3 million. Did those companies make that oil? Like, are they actually producing it? Like, the biggest companies in 2014 are Apple and Google. Those are two companies that actually made things. They constructed things. But oil companies, they just go into the ground and grab the oil that basically belongs to all of us. They did not create the oil over millions and millions of years. It's called fossil fuels for a reason. They are not creating. I understand that they extract it, and you might think that that allows them or gives them the right to be the owners of that oil. But that just means that they got there first. They fought wars to have ownership on that. They basically stuck guns to people's heads to make sure that they could be the ones that profit personally from that oil. The most absurd part of it all is that selling that oil profits them ridiculously, and at the same time, it ruins our earth and basically our quality of life. It ruins our air, our oxygen. I know that gas does good things. I know that oil is necessary today, but it's not as necessary as it actually is because those who extract it make sure that we are completely reliant upon it. This whole idea of natural resources belonging to specific people has to be one of the most absurd ideas that is so worshipped by humanity. It's really, really time that we re-examine this because water is coming up next. Fresh drinkable water is running out, and the CEO of Nestle, amongst others, said that, well, drinking water is not a right. It's a privilege. You should have money to drink. And what's next? Well, obviously, since I've been a very little kid, I knew that if somebody could own oxygen, if somebody could own the air we breathe, that would be the most profitable thing of all. The solution to this is to view property and ownership differently, especially when it comes to natural resources. If we saw aliens on an extraterrestrial planet, we would not assume that one alien owns all of the natural resources or has a lockdown on some of the natural resources. We would assume that they would share amongst themselves. And it's high time that we do the same, honestly. And it all starts with a shift in perspective. In humanism, we are all the same and we all belong to the earth equally. Therefore, the earth's natural resources belong to us equally as well.